At this time, I'll call the special meeting of Franklin Township Board of Trustees to order, July 18th at 9:32 a.m. Would Mr. Fleshman, would you please open us with prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, as we meet today to go over our own local government, we pray that you be with all of our local government, with the past things that's happened in plain sight and how violence takes a front stage. We just ask that you calm the nerves of the people, that everyone wants to be right or be heard. Be with our meeting, be with us this day, and amen.
Amen.
Mike, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ma'am, give us a roll call, please.
Jim?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes. Thank you. New business, yep, looks like it's all yours.
Thank you. The first thing I wanted to do is bring the board up to date on the status of the road department building. We had met, Jim and I, last week with an architect. Based on state statutes, we either have to have an architect or an engineer to help us with this project and basically design a building, work with the builder, and it actually starts this whole process. In that meeting, what the architect was telling us, and he came recommended by Prairie Township, Franklin County uses them, and the city of Columbus uses him. So the man's very experienced with government projects. During this initial conversation, the first thought by the architect was, we are on an extremely tight timeline, as we've discussed in the past. The first thing that he asked me to do was to contact a surveyor that we used in the past and to get what's called a utility site survey. I contacted the surveyor. I told him that I was having a meeting with the trustees today. I asked him what that survey would cost. He had given us a cost in the past of $2,900 when he did the original just site plat survey. So I wanted to let the board know that to start the ball rolling with this project is we would have to have the surveyor come out and do again that utility site survey of $2,900.
Question. if I
Yes,
may,
sir.
So I know in the past, and Ryan, you may be able to help me with this, I know that I'm not gonna use the word supposedly, because I know nothing about it, but a high pressure gas line or something going through our property.
Yes.
Can we notate when they look at this? I'm sure that they have an instrument to tell us how deep, where it's at, so that we have this, so we're not guessing what we can and can't do for in the future. And if we keep a copy of that for ourselves, for the people that may either sit in the seats or be in your job. Because it's one of those, well, somewhere back here, and it holds us up from thinking of what can we do and what can't we do.
Well, absolutely, and of course, when we had the original surveys done, we have all that documentation as well, but yes, sir, we can have all that information. The second thing we talked about was the demolition of the building. We have a quote from Lowe and Dix, for about $28,000 to completely demo that building. What that demolition will entail is, of course, the structure and the foundation. So when we're ready to start building, we have a clean slate. Of course, we will maintain all the utilities. That's the next thing. And my thought is, there's two sources of funding for this. We have ARPA funds, and we have funds left in a building account of about $200,000. So there are funds available to do that. I can't tell you right now what the architectural fees will be because we don't know what the cost of the project is going to be. The architect's thought is to expedite this process and make sure we have a building that we can utilize, that we start with that, either a metal style building or a pole barn type facility. But at the same time, the building can be made that it can accommodate an office, restroom, break rooms, storage rooms, and of course be insulated. And include heat for the garage area, and then eventually we can put heat and AC in the office areas and the shower facilities and restrooms. Being that we start with a simple structure, he's almost guaranteeing that we can meet our deadline of December 31st to have a contract in place, which will allow us to use our ARPA funds. And then at a later date, we can have a company come in and finish what we need to have finished. So the big thing is, what I'm making the trustees aware of, we will need between $25,000 and $30,000 for demolition and $3,000 for a survey, and that will get the ball rolling.
What do you need from us today?
I will come back to you, and I'll work with Lindsay and Jeff for appropriations. I'm assuming that we'll utilize the ARPA funds. I just want the trustees to know that if you're comfortable with this, I will be coming back to you at a later date with a resolution requesting funds for demolition and funds for the survey.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Probably, I'm glad you're here.
Okay.
So when we go to take that building down, where's the stuff that's in the building going?
It's gonna be rough.
So I've thought about it, so we have the ability to bring in some containers. And then if we have large pieces of equipment and trucks, there's many warehouses that are sitting around that you can do a lease on for months. Some people will lease you a building for, say, 6 months. You understand what I'm trying to say? If we have to go that way, I've not been in these buildings, so I don't know. But my thoughts on it, as I sat and looked at this for the last 2 days, that we need to start getting that building emptied and down now. That's just gonna put us that much further ahead. I think this is what Steve is saying, but I mean, we need to start like that yesterday. The building needs to come down, then we're gonna have a site. I also remember many meetings back, and I know we haven't got a site plan, but you guys have been approved for the money to put that lean-to on the back side of that building. So if, sorry, if you do the lean-to, some of your equipment, your trucks and thing could easily be underneath there and at least be in from the weather.
Sure. We have a water jet and a hydro excavator that has to be inside during the winter due to it freezing and busting, I guess is the only two things that really can't sit out for a month or two, so.
But I've
I'm worried about it.
I've been driving around and looking at buildings in this area, and I haven't purposely, I haven't really found anything. I know on down here on Frank is some empty buildings and things like that. Just a perfect example would be at Central Point, the old, at the very end on the right-hand side where the Goodyear used to be.
Yeah.
You know, there's doors 3 in and 3 out.
Mhm.
If you can make that has a business in it now, but that's what we're really looking for. And like my brother-in-law's business does this all the time. You just go to the landlord and you make a deal he'd rather bring in something for 6 months than to have it sit empty, you know, and you're just, short period. I'm not saying that that's the answer, I'm just throwing it out. But
We have options. I'm glad
What
you
about
did.
what about the warehouse out at Sullivan Avenue?
It's
I know
pretty
it's not,
full.
I know it's
It's pretty
not
full.
completely full, but is there stuff that could be, we could look at that and moving stuff out of there and saving money.
We could probably pack some stuff in there. if we
Yeah.
had to.
So, in hearing what Mr. Blevins had to say is words of wisdom to me, because by the time we try to get something on site, by the time we try to get a lean-to up that's not gonna have heat, if we entertain leasing something for 3 months to 6 months, it's gonna be easier all the way around. And generally, when you try to save money, you spend more. So in saying that, if we brought something in, if you remember, Ryan, can't remember if you were here, after we built the pole barn up there at the other station, we did it inexpensively. It was started to be built before I came in, and then when I came in, the cost to heat and et cetera, because they didn't put ceiling tile or insulation. So what they thought they were saving went through the roof in 1 month of heating. So with what Mr. Blevins is saying, I think, I definitely see that. We may pay a little bit more than us bringing in something to put stuff into a building for et cetera. But if you've already got a proven place and we pay a little bit more in rent, but it already has heat and already has this, and it's fairly easy to get to.
Yeah,
If we did a 6-month type lease, I think that would be the smartest thing to look around, that's something that would have heat, that we could put our stuff in, then we don't have to worry. And we don't have to jockey it around on this property to try to, the footprint's small as it is.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think there might be room for the hydrovac and the hydrojet and a back unit out there. I just was in that building.
We should be able to make it work. If not, we can put them in here, but the plow truck's gonna be sitting out during the storm.
Right.
So, we'll make it work no matter what.
Well, there's,
Can
Mike,
you might not be able to answer this, and you probably cannot, but can you have Jim, when he gets back, give us a report of why the lean-to's not up?
I can do that.
Okay.
so, to the board, with what you just said, I tend to forget, here just a couple years ago, we put AC and heat out there.
Yes.
So why not put the lean tube up and then be able to park the snow and the plows under the lean tube for this season? The main thing is the stuff that would freeze would be in that building that we paid a lot of money to heat it.
Yeah.
So a lean tube can go up in a week.
We just gotta start thinking outside of the box.
Yeah. I mean, what we would pay in rent for 6 months would put the lean tube up.
I found
Should,
it,
yeah.
I found it in the records, the money's, I believe the money's already been
Yes,
allocated.
it is.
So it's like,
Mhm.
you know, it's just sitting there
Waiting
waiting
to be done.
We have to find a contractor to build that, right? Cause
Well, yes.
That's a good question.
cause I think we
because-
were gonna build it and then we were
Right.
told we weren't allowed to do it.
Well,
Right.
one of the
So
things.
I think that's what.
You know, one of the things that, and I give the road department all the credit that I can, that they can save the township by doing the work in-house, you guys get your salary irregardless. But one of the things that the state came back and said, that's not what your job is, and they've warned us time and time again about having you guys do the work. Not that you're not capable of doing it, but, it's just like,
It has
when
to
they
come out
put
of different funds.
Lindsay's office, what you guys were able to do, this office, what you guys were able to do.
It just has to come out of different funds and, different areas.
Well, what they were talking about, it's not so much where the funding was coming from. It was the fact that what their job and being paid to do, they shouldn't be doing that work is what the state said. So, cause I thought the same thing, well, if we just take it out of this fund to pay, just like House Bill 50, they pay your salary when you're there. But from what I was being told is, you can't take these people and have them do this job.
One last thing I have regarding the building, like I said, we'll have multiple discussions. The footprint of that building is going to be a little bigger. So we are gonna lose parking, probably behind the fire station. And what we've looked at is, we have plenty of room for parking on the other side of the existing service building behind the police station. And, so we are gonna have to utilize that as opposed to what parking we have back here. I told the architect, I don't think that's gonna be an issue, because it's gonna have to be done. But I just wanted to let the board know that you're gonna lose parking.
I've thought about that too, and I haven't walked over or drove over and looked at it, but I thought if you come in behind the trailer, I'm wondering why we can't take that and turn that into parking, pull in parking going that way, all the way down. We shut that
Yes, sir.
off to only police vehicles, and it's a one-way coming in, so it's like the type of parking like that.
Exactly.
So then when you wanna go out, you back out and you come out this way. You can get a lot of cars in that area stacked in there like this. The worry about the lean-to is that is where some cars are parked. When I went over there and looked at that part of it, the part where the lean-to was supposed to go, I believe, will be taking up some of the area that is parking, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so we want to keep that in our mind too when we're doing all this, but I have thought about that parking too. And I would think that the best thing to do would be shut that off behind the police department and do parking like you do in these downtown areas and stuff like that. So they can just get, and we'll make everything come out this way.
Kinda like the parking this in front, but just make it in the back.
Just, yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
No, I have thought about it, so I just
Yeah.
don't want to say that I just have put some thought into that.
would you like a motion today to move forward?
Please, if you're comfortable with that.
I would make a motion that we continue to move forward. We give, authorization to Mr. Mazer to move forward with the road department buildings with the survey and looking at getting the building demolished. At this time, I would ask for a second.
I will, second that, but we need to note that, what you said, the survey
Yeah.
and appropriations of cost.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I second it.
Jim,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. So do you need, just so if we have to do anything here today, for smaller things in that building, like do you have, you have room for everything that's in this, do you have a need for a container? Because that's the only thing that comes to my mind to store stuff out of there. Do you have enough room, if we're gonna move those trucks out and put that other stuff in there, are you gonna be able to get everything out of this building into that, or could we bring in a container?
We probably need a container. but-
And I know they're
I think
not,
one
they're
should
not
do
great
this.
to work out of, but they could do for a couple of months.
Yeah,
I think that's something.
Storage
Steve-
of-
Okay,
I
well,
think
just
that's a
so,
day-to-day.
I just wanted to put that out
That's
there
kind of
though,
a
because I
day-to-day
just don't
item.
I don't think you're gonna have the room, I
No,
just
I don't
don't.
think so either.
So that's just in my mind, I don't work here and I don't know, but, I just
You do
didn't
work here.
No, I mean, I don't, I do work here, but I don't work in your department, sir.
We'll take your guidance on it.
Mr.
Brian.
Chairman, if I
Yeah.
may back up a second, cause I'm thinking about the motion that we just passed. And I'm curious, Mr. Mazer, with the cost associated with that, potential cost of that, at this time, do you need a resolution that it could go up to this point, so that if we are under the gun for time, that we know that we have a resolution up to, let's just say, $40,000?
Jeff, are you okay with that before we do the
I'm sorry,
appropriation? I'm sorry, I didn't see. Pass a resolution,
Expected, expenses maybe not greater than 40,000 for what may need to be done, because every 2 weeks counts.
You wanted to pass a resolution today?
Yes, I would like to
So,
see about,
before
if
we
that's
actually-
okay with Lindsay, if we have,
Lindsay is-
I apologize for that, but
So it would be a resolution
not to exceed.
authorizing supplemental appropriations
Yes,
of ARPA funds not to
of
exceed.
ARPA funds, not to exceed whatever dollar amount you want.
$40,000.
Go right ahead. Roll with it.
In lieu of the the motion that the board just passed, I'd like to change that to, or add to, or amend. Let it be known by the Board of Trustees, Franklin Township, Franklin County, Ohio, that the board, will authorize up to $40,000 expenditure for said, building plans, etc., from allocated money from, nope,
From the ARPA fund,
ARP funds. If there's no further questions on them,
so you also need to do a supplemental appropriation for the 40K.
as well as a supplemental, monies.
That has to be a separate resolution.
Yes,
Okay, so we'll do the ARP first, and if there's no further questions, then we'll ask for a second.
I'll second that.
Jim,
Yes.
John,
Yes,
Mike,
Yes.
now we need to do a,
Supplemental.
resolution, supplemental
I'd like to
appropriations,
ask for the board for a resolution for a supplemental,
appropriation.
appropriation. If there's no further questions on the matter, I would ask for a second.
Supplemental appropriations from ARP funds of $40,000.
Correct, that is correct.
Just for the record, I will second that.
Jim,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
All right. I think that covers you for it, yes.
So that way,
I thought you needed
we're not
to do something.
30 days, and
You're
then
good.
if we're getting closer to the
So I would-
December
I thought you said
31st.
checking with somebody.
I'll get the number from
So Lindsay, thank you, because under normal circumstances, we want
We
resolutions before we get to this point, so I do apologize,
No,
so.
I think this was an
That was me just
emergency.
to inform you where we are, but I thank you.
But this
for the
gives you
resolutions.
a longer leash to get out there.
I need a long leash. Or maybe-
Thank you,
maybe-
Jeff.
Maybe a short leash.
Okay. Next item, looks like we have, we're number one, now we're going to,
Yes, sir. I have a couple resolutions regarding the fire department levy. The first resolution, and folks, I apologize for the lengthy resolution. The first resolution is 2024-098. It's a resolution to proceed with the submission of the question of levying an additional tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the purpose of fire protection services pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code 5705.19I. Whereas on July 8th, 2024, the Board of Trustees of Franklin Township, Franklin County, Ohio certified a resolution declaring the necessity of a levy a tax in excess of 10 mil limitation pursuant to RC 5705.19I for the purposes of providing fire protection services to township residents. And whereas on July 9th, 2024, the Franklin County Auditor certified to the board that, one, the property tax revenue that will be produced with a 14.66 mil levy, assuming the taxable value of the township remains constant through the life of the levy, is calculated to be $5,502,000. The taxable value of the township used in calculating the estimated property tax revenue is $375,325,300. The millage for the requested levy is 14.66 mils per $1 per taxable value, which amounts to $513 for each 100,000 of the county auditor's appraised value. The Board of Trustees of Franklin Township, Franklin County, Ohio, met in a special meeting at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, that should be Thursday, July 18th. The trustee marked below made a motion for the adoption of the following resolution. Mr. Leisure?
I'll make a motion.
Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Franklin Township, Franklin County, Ohio, 2/3 of all members elected hereto concurring that the board desires to proceed with the submission of the question of an additional tax levy pursuant to 5705.19I of the ORC for the purpose of providing and maintaining fire apparatus, appliances, maintenance of lines, a fire alarm, telegraph for the payment of firefighting companies or permanent, part-time, or volunteer firefighting, emergency medical services, administrative, or communications personnel to operate the same, including the payment of any employer contributions required for such personnel under section 145.48 or 742.34 of the ORC, or the purchases of ambulance equipment, or the provision of ambulance, paramedic, or other emergency services operated by a fire department or firefighting company, or for the payment of other related costs. The additional levy should be at a rate of 14.66 mils for each dollar evaluation, which amounts to $513 for each $100,000 evaluation. To the electors residing in the entire territory of the township, incorporated and unincorporated. The additional levy will be for a continuing period of time. Sections of the ORC authorizing submission of the question of the tax are sections 5705.03, 5705.19I, 5705.191, and 5705.25. The additional levy shall be placed upon the current year's tax list commencing 2024 for collection in 2024 if approved by a majority of the electors voting thereon. The territory where the tax will be levied is the unincorporated and incorporated area of the township. The township is located entirely within Franklin County. The question of such additional levy shall be placed upon the ballot of the general election to be held November 5th, 2024, and submitted to the entire territory of the township. incorporated and unincorporated. The fiscal officer is hereby directed to certify not less than 90 days prior to the election. To the Board of Elections, Franklin County, Ohio, a copy of the resolution declaring it necessary to levy a tax in excess of 10 mil limitation, and a copy of this resolution together with the certification of the auditor, and to notify the Board of Elections to cause a notice of election on question of levying the tax to be given as required by law. It is found and determined that all functions of this Board of Trustees concerning relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this Board of Trustees, and that all deliberations of this Board of Trustees and any of its committees that result in those formal actions were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including section 121.2 of the ORC. The resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest time provided by law. So I need.
So moved as the resolution is written. And I would ask for a second.
Mr. Chairman, is there any questions? The only reason I ask that is I explain afterwards.
I will ask for questions after a second.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought, I don't have any questions.
No, I was gonna add, go ahead and, if you'll second it, I
Okay.
prefer not to.
I'll second it for questions.
Go ahead.
Okay, question. So generally, in this, it's nice to be able to have a discussion before we second it. The only thing that I wanted to do is for the people at home, the different people, watching this, a lot of this they may not understand, and one of the things that was mentioned is the budget would be $10 million, is that correct? You read off that the.
No, it mentions that the levy will create 5.5 million in, tax revenue.
Okay, 5.5 million. So I wanted to make sure that I heard something exceeding the $10 million.
Right, no, it's a
So-
10 mil limitation.
Correct.
So we're going to 14.66.
Yes, so what I wanted to, a lot of this that was read off, and a lot of people that may not understand this, is this isn't a windfall for the township, this isn't something, we still have a budget that we are mandated to go by, which is our $10 million a year budget. Is, Jeff, is that what we're
It's,
currently at?
You're just over 10 million right now.
Okay,
You lose ARPA, or I'm sorry, the Safer Grant next year.
which is 1 million.
Yes, and that may put you right on the border or could potentially put you slightly under.
Okay.
So that won't be known until budgets are complete.
So, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to bring a few of these things out. I am not opposed to this whatsoever. But for a lot of people that may not understand this and thinking that, okay, they're raising our taxes or it can seem, if you're not familiar with the wording, it can seem as if here we go again. But the bottom line is this is not a windfall for the township. This is to be able to keep both fire departments operational so that we have both stations, because if not, we have to go to one station. So with that, and thank you for allowing me to speak on that.
I want to say something now that you said that. So I just heard you say that you are definitely a strong opponent. You want this badly. You wanted this
Yes,
to be
sir.
on board.
Yes, sir.
You just sort of represented there that not necessarily, the way I heard from what you said. So I want to make sure that people understand that you were a big one to get this state, or this levy on.
Absolutely. So I will
And
state that.
Okay, well, I
So
just want to make sure,
Yeah,
but.
Cause I wanna be very clear for everyone. I definitely saw the need for this. And one of the things about this that is, I'm gonna call it a caveat for the residents of Franklin Township. Every time we lose a partial, I don't care if it's a corner gas station or et cetera, everyone in this room that is a taxpayer ends up paying more. This is another way that was put together since 2002 from a judge, that it was enacted in 2003, that any parcel that was annexed into the city of Columbus would share, they would be mandated to pay their fair share as well. What
Yeah.
this does is it keeps us from becoming a dinosaur, because at some point, if we don't do something, then what's gonna end up happening is too expensive to live in Franklin Township. So what I wanted to speak earlier, sir, and I didn't mean to make it sound the
No,
wrong way.
I know what you're saying, and we've
Right,
all
right.
heard you say that.
Right, but I wanted to make sure that the people, what was read, that they understand that, you know, our budget in which we are allowed to collect, that the state that we are under cannot exceed a certain amount. They set what everyone pays in, and once we hit that certain number, then they divide it all up and figure out how much per parcel and based on property values and et cetera, way beyond my pay grade.
Okay.
But what this, in my opinion, is going to do for Franklin Township is longevity, so that we don't have to come back to the public and continue to ask for levies, because properties such as, when the Delphi site went out, what's gonna happen to West Lamar if it gets, annexed into the city? Well, the answer to that is, if this passes, then, we still get the tax money from that, so that we're not asked as residents to continue to pay more and more. So, sir, with that, I'm
That's
finished.
right, and I do believe that the 10 mil that he's talking about is the 10 mil. The revenue
Yes,
coming in is
yes.
only 5.6 mil or
5.5 mil.
5.5
Just over
million? 5.5 million.
Million
I think there's a
dollars.
big confusion a lot of the time between mills
And
and million.
Yeah.
It's a two different games there, and it's a very confusing way to put it, but there again, like you said, it's above our pay grade. They
Yeah,
make
we
these terms
figure,
up, so.
but I just want to assure the public, what we're passing today to put on the ballot is nothing more than for the public to be able to say, this is what they want. As trustees sitting here, when our chief comes to us and we look at it through our fiscal officer and we see that the need is there, how we're going to continue on, then it's our job to put it on the ballot for the people. We can't make that decision for the people, only the people can vote on that. So I just wanna be very clear on that. Alls we are doing here today, what you heard read, is for us to put it on the ballot for the body of the people to make that decision, the final decision.
Got it.
With all that being said, I will call for a vote.
Jim,
Yes.
John,
Yes,
Mike,
Yes.
And I'm having Nicole update the date change
Okay.
from Tuesday to Thursday, so I'll have those for you.
Do you have another one on?
I do, I
On
do.
this?
Real quick, Steve, before
Yeah.
we go any further, they're a man down already with Mr. Stevens being on
Yeah.
vacation. Could we let Ryan go?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Are you good with that, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey,
I mean, because you're
Absolutely.
sitting there
Hang
and
on
I know
one
you have
second.
things to
Yeah.
do.
Yes, sir.
And thank you for the help.
You're welcome.
Can you work with Ryan and Jim? When you and I and Abdullah from Mike Carey's office was out touring the phone, I call it the phone building.
Yeah.
We're gonna be in need of some storage temporarily for the road department as we get them a new building. Can we work and see if we can't find some places, and that building's heated, correct?
Yes.
That way, cause we have some equipment that needs to be kept.
do you have one open bay in the middle, in the back, or is every bay area spoken for?
That's firehouse.
There on Sullivan.
As of right now, we have all but one bay, and they have access to one bay.
Okay, I was
But
just
we
curious.
can, we're down a medic right now, cause the one is at Horton,
Mhm.
so there's another bay that's empty right now.
But this
So
would be.
they're welcome to have
Yeah,
it.
but this would, even going into winter.
Yeah, we'll
You
make
know,
it
what
work.
I'm looking at is, let's say, the middle bay in the back would not be as popular, so that wouldn't
Are
be
you talking the firehouse or the
Yes.
phone building?
the firehouse and your actual,
Oh, the firehouse, I
Yeah.
have one open bay right now that I can put a medic in when it gets back from Horton, so they can have two.
okay,
They can have two bays, which are pretty deep in that barn.
okay.
Okay, yeah, if you guys could just work that out.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve, I didn't.
No, you're
mention
fine,
it.
Thanks,
you're
Ron.
fine.
Yes, sir.
No.
Good call, Mike.
The next resolution I have is 2024-099. It's a resolution of intent to terminate certain township fire district levies. Whereas the Franklin Township Board of Trustees created the Franklin Township Fire District, comprising only the unincorporated area of the township. And whereas the voters of Franklin Township have approved 3 continuing fire district levies of 9.75 mils in 1993, 5 mils in 2004, and 3.89 mils in 2008, as well as a 5-year district levy of 5.89, all for the purpose of providing fire services and protection in the fire district. Whereas in August of 2024, the board requested the voters in the upcoming November general election approve a 14.66 mils township-wide levy that would be placed on the tax list for 2024 and collected in 2025. The 14.66 levy in effect would change the taxing bodies from the district to the township in order to provide funding for the operations of a township fire department as opposed to a fire district. Assuming the voters approve said township-wide levy in 2024, this change will allow the township to phase out the current fire district and to keep pace with Ohio law and protect the township's tax base by including those properties that have been annexed from the township since March of 2002. And whereas if the voters approve the 14.66 mils in November 2024, it will no longer be necessary for the township to collect the proceeds of the 3 continuing fire district levies of 9.75 mils approved in 1993, 5 mils approved in 2004, and 3.89 approved in 2008, as well as the 5-year district levy of 5.89. And it is in the best interest of the township and its residents to terminate, not remove, said levy should voters approve the township-wide levy. The Board of Trustees of Franklin Township, Franklin County, Ohio, met in person in a special meeting at 9:30 a.m. on Thursday, July 18th. The trustees marked below made a motion for the adoption of the following resolution.
So moved.
Mr. Mazur,
Yes.
if this levy passes, is it correct that this particular, the levies that we currently have go away forever, they're deleted
Yes.
and can never come back, is that
Yes,
correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So there's no possible way when, say for instance, what I've seen before, when we went to do this, don't vote yes because your taxes are going up 229%. And those were sent out in 8x10 size brochures that first class mail from a big corporation. So just to reiterate that any levy that is on the books for the fire department go away forever and can never come back.
If it passes.
If it passes, and what we're doing here today is we're saying yes, that we're passing a resolution that says on the day that passes, these go away, these are infected, or introduced.
And in this resolution, I'm gonna address that right now, because the resolution continues.
Okay, I apologize, I
No,
thought you
you're
were done.
fine, no.
I
Now
apologize.
therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Franklin Township, Franklin County, Ohio, that the following resolution being and it's hereby adopted. Resolved that the board hereby determines that if the 4.66 mils township-wide levy is approved by voters in November 2024, it is the board's intent to do the following for the current fire levies. Terminate the levy for 9.75 mils for a continuing period of time that was adopted in 1993 for the purposes set forth in the ORC 5075.19I, and to terminate the levy of 5 mils for the continuing period that was adopted in 2004 for the purposes set forth in the ORC section 5705.19I, and to terminate the levy of 3.89 for the continuing period of time that was adopted in 2008 for the purposes set forth in the ORC, again, 5705.19I. Not renew the 5-year levy for 5.89 mils for the purposes set forth in Ohio Revised Code 5705.19I. Be it further resolved, it is hereby declared that all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this board and in all deliberations of the board and any of its committees that result in such formal action, or in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including section 121.2, 12122 of the ORC. The resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest time provided by law.
So moved as the resolution is written. I would ask for a second.
I'll second.
Jim,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Next item on the agenda.
Here we go, Joe. Those have been corrected. Might as well finish up the resolutions. The next resolution I have is resolution 2024.096. This resolution is to dismiss the order issued pursuant to resolution 2024.061 regarding the removal of the unsafe, insecure, and structurally defective structure from the property owned by Columbus Partners Investment LLC located on Franklin County parcel 140-007-496-00 in Franklin Township, Franklin County, Ohio. The Board of Trustees of Franklin Township, Franklin County, Ohio met in person in a special session at 9:30 a.m. on Thursday, July 18th. Trustee Mark Below made a motion for the adoption of the following resolution.
So moved.
I would second that.
The board hereby dismisses the order issued
I apologize, I thought we were going to a vote, I didn't realize you weren't finished, sir.
Okay. No, that's good, you're keeping an eye on me. The board hereby dismisses the order pursuant to resolution 2024-061. The structure has been in the process of being demolished, and it is the appropriate to dismiss the order. The board finds and determines that all formal actions of this board concerning relating the passage of this resolution are taken in open meetings of this board, and that all deliberations of this board that result in formal actions were taken in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including but not limited to the ORC section 121.22, except as otherwise permitted thereby. Be it resolved that this resolution shall be declared emergency and shall be enforced effective immediately upon its adoption. Any questions on that? You may.
So moved as the resolution is written. I would ask for a second.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
No.
Jim,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Why don't you do the honor?
John, go right ahead while I'm on this. So Juanita Kaufman Award.
This is, we received, one application, regarding the Juanita Kaufman Award.
Makes it,
Just one.
I can assure you it has not been open.
who will ever be opened? See,
Sir?
I was, and
It was sealed, definitely sealed.
this goes out to, the Juanita Kaufman Award will be presented to Mary Needlemeyer of
Nice.
1233 Brown Road.
Very good.
I'm sorry, that's who's nominating it.
Okay.
The nomination will go to Haley Hardberger.
You got it backwards.
Do I?
Yep.
Okay.
sees that right first.
It is
time.
Mary Needlemeyer, yeah. I wore the wrong glasses today.
No, it's okay. I wasn't- I was just
1233
trying to help,
Brown Road.
Okay.
You want this back, or does this go over to,
I'll take it and then
okay,
we'll make sure that, we get in contact with Mary and. Now, this will be presented at National Night Out?
Yes.
Is that correct?
yes.
Okay.
And if we can let her know that she's been
Absolutely.
nominated,
And ask her to be there.
yeah, because we'd like to, at
I'd
some
like to see
point.
somebody, I think she'll be here at the regular meeting
Okay.
next week. I'd love to, let her know that she's
Yeah.
been
Would you like to do
recognize her
that, sir?
name. Sure, I'll happily,
Okay.
She's ladies, that's where you used to.
yes.
Yeah. And,
So I do wanna bring something up about it, if you guys don't mind, just real quick.
Sure.
It has to do with that, so we're on topic. So you know how we discussed about having the Christmas parade this year, and you guys said we would definitely be able to do that? To try to get a little bit more, people involved in that, I'd like to see us have the recipient of the Miss Kaufman Award be the Grand Marshal in our parade. And she could ride with the police chief up front in his car. You think about it and mull it over.
You wanna make that motion?
So
You
I
wanna
make a motion that, the winner every year of the Juanita Kaufman Award would be offered to be the Grand Marshal of the Christmas Parade, that we're going to start having. Our first one is going to be this year, and then every year after. You need anything other than that?
Nope, I will second that motion, and I would call for a, vote.
Jim,
Yes.
John,
Yes,
Mike,
Yes,
very well put, Mike.
thank you.
Moving on.
The next thing I have is, to bring up with the trustees. In the past, we've approved letters of support, for the city of Columbus in regards to the Lincoln BRT project, which is the expansion of, the bus rapid transit system. This letter is a request for their East Main project, which is connecting with, it's part of the entire Lincoln, $8 billion proposed, improvements to mass transit. Again, as I said, we've approved a couple letters in the past for the city of Columbus. They're trying to apply for federal support to continue the process of building out the BRT. So I'm just asking the board if they wish me to send this a letter of approval to the city of Columbus for this project.
I'd open the floor for a discussion amongst us.
I've read it and I thought that, by us, supporting, the city of Columbus, that it definitely affects the area that we are in, the monies that are being generated that are going to be on our doorsteps, as well as the sidewalks, et cetera, and the ability of our residents to be able to have a method of transportation that they may not have before. It behooves of us, in my opinion, not to be in support of this.
So you would say you're not in support of it?
No, I am in
Oh.
support of it. That's what I'm saying. It benefits our residents. It benefits Franklin Township with the amount of millions that are being poured into the area.
You wanna make a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion that we are, that we would be in support of said letter to the city of Columbus, in support for their next phase of their, what are they calling that, rapid transit?
Bus rapid transit.
Bus rapid
Part of the
transit
Lincoln project.
for the Lincoln project.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I will second that, and, I do have discussion on it. That's why I asked you to make the motion. I'm glad you said what you did, because of, I have a hard time approving anything for the city of Columbus, the way they gobble up our, why they're going after our township and gobbling it up, but this project does benefit it can benefit the residents of the township, so I just wanted to make that clear that it does irritate me, the fact that they keep coming after us for a letter of support, but they will reach in and
Take away all the
extort, I'm not gonna mince words, they extort these developers into forcing them to get city water and city sewer. They use that in Whole Riverhead to annex into the city, and that is not, and then they have the audacity to come to us and ask us for a letter of support. That just blows my mind. But, with that being said, I'll call for unless there's any other discussion.
I can't agree more with you.
Yep.
And,
But this does help us, I'm sorry, this does help
Yeah.
our citizens, so.
Yeah, and that's the biggest part, and I basically stopped short when I said that, the monies that are coming in an area that is coming in, and there's millions, and as it goes right through us, it's going to, whatever goes into the old Westland Mall, it will make transportation for our residents. So there is a benefit. Yes, I would have liked to be able to say, if we made the huge difference, if we were the hinge, that we would have a bargaining chip in regards to annexation as well as the water and sewer, because that's the biggest thing. Developers, if you look at the Delphi site, it had water and sewer for 50 years. It was tore down for another organization, and they had no choice. If they wanted water and sewer, they had to annex.
Let me interrupt you for a minute.
Sure.
Which, by Ohio Revised Code, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mazur, by the Ohio Revised Code, since there is water and sewer already on there, the city of Columbus is in violation of the Ohio Revised Code by holding out and making them annex in.
There is a new statute that came into play, I forget what year. You do not have to, and this is part of, I know exactly where it was, and part of the 2002 law, or the outcome of the federal judge, is you can't hold hostage the water and sewer and have to annex.
Was that part of that?
Yes, so if a person has water and sewer, like I have water sewer at the back of my property where the city of Columbus, you are allowed to pay the tap fee without annexing and be able to access water and sewer.
I know that's not what happened to the,
Yes.
to the project
Yes.
over at,
The old site of Fisher,
Yeah.
Fisher Guy,
yeah.
or, yeah. So anyways, I apologize, we went on
Yeah, this-
further than what we want. I think, sir, that there's a motion on the floor.
There's a motion and a second, and I will ask for a vote.
Jim,
Yes.
John,
Yes,
Mike,
And I'm gonna vote no out of symbolic, because I understand your frustration, and I've had the same,
Mhm.
and it's gonna pass anyway, so
Thank
it
you.
will absolutely mean nothing, but other than we're not happy.
I wanna
So
go on
I'm
the
going to
record by,
vote no.
I'm gonna go on the record and say that I'm only voting yes on this project, on this motion, because it benefits the residents of this township, not for the benefit of Columbus.
how?
So, next on the list.
Oh,
that's a hard yes.
Yes, it is.
I understand, I understand. The next thing I have is the discussion concerning limited home rule.
Hold on just a second, I just wanna say something,
Oh.
if you don't care, I
No,
don't
no,
mean to do
no,
this,
sir.
but we have this man back here sitting, and I'm assuming he's here to talk about, the tax budget. And we're paying him a lot of money.
Sure.
So before, I just know where these discussions get to, and so I would like to go back up and let's get the tax budget in, and then come back down and discuss
Absolutely.
limited home rules, so
Yes,
Jeff
yes,
can
sir.
move on. I mean, we're 1 hour, and we need to get
Yeah.
him on the road. So, is that all right with the board?
That's fine with me, if that's okay with
Sure.
you.
It's gotta
Sure.
be discussed, so are you, is this something you discuss, who discusses?
Who discusses this?
So I talked with Carrie yesterday,
Okay.
we have the extension. I had a problem with my email, so my email had been hacked. So when I was sending emails out, people were not getting them, and my emails coming in were being redirected in 2 different ways. So I believe that Jeff and I have had a little bit of miscommunication with things. You gentlemen need to vote on it by August 2nd, and I need to have it filed with the state by August 5th. So, if Jeff could get with me, we just need to go over pages 2 through 5 and then pages 10 through 16, and I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
So, go ahead, James, I'm sorry.
As I said to you earlier, I want a police report made.
Yeah.
And Mr. Mazur, I'm going to request that this hacking, because of the other circumstances that has happened here in the past, I'm asking for a state investigation of this.
I mean, Rev Group is right now on my computer.
She is an
trying to fix
elected
the
official,
malware.
and her email has been hacked, along with possible, what else, the other item?
If you go malware, you can go
Malware.
look on my computer right now, and Sonia from Rev Group is in there right now trying to figure out this
malware
And
issue.
I believe, you know, that this needs to be investigated at a higher level other than what we are capable of. And I believe with her being an elected official in the state of Ohio, that should be done through the state of Ohio.
And under the conditions in which her office has seen, fraud where checks have been called
Yes.
wash or called what you want,
Yeah.
you being a fiscal officer, it seems as if your office is under attack and it comes to financials.
Yes, and when I spoke to Carrie, she said that this is becoming a thing. She's seeing it a lot.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is, so our information on this side, in regards to my email, wasn't compromised, but what they were doing was using our email addresses to look real to other companies and to use clickbait. So that when they clicked on their end, then the hackers got their information, like their banking
Right.
information.
But it could very easily turn it around and also use it on us. And
Well-
from my understanding, with talking with you beforehand, they're not sure some of this didn't come internally.
The malware is the internal question. The email part is not. And Robin and I both got emails last week from somebody who sells yachts. And we had called Rev Group and they had confirmed that was a scam. So we're not sure if those emails we got last week is what turned into this, but
That's why, just so you other two, that's why I'm interested in asking for a, state investigation of it, because it's possible
So
internal.
go ahead, John, if you're still on.
Sure, I wanted to go back to the budget if I could.
Yeah,
me too.
And
Yeah,
I wanted to find out, Jeff, if that was good with you, the pages or et cetera, what we need to do.
I haven't seen any corrected versions from what I sent out
Okay,
last week. And I also tell you that flat out, she says she's gonna show up, she doesn't show up. I'm here on a regular basis, 7:30 till about 11:30 every day. I have afternoon commitments that I must keep. She doesn't show up. So how on earth is this gonna get done?
I've sent you an email.
The other side that goes with this too is, I'm providing guidance, I've done that. It's up to her to finish it, not me.
can
Okay.
you,
Now, if you want, I can send you all the emails to prove this stuff too.
I saw some of the ones that were included and the different things of that nature.
I'm just asking him to sit down with me. We can do it all in one day or we can do it in 2 days.
I
We can go
have,
over
but you
page-
submit,
Okay,
you
we need to go over
committed to
page-
come in
we
and
need
you
to
never
go
showed
pages
up.
2 through 5 and 10 through 16. We can break it down into 2 days or we can do it in one. And
I
can
sent an
be here
email
by-
out
I can
telling
be
you,
here by
I'm
9
done with
a.m.
this, because you don't show up.
Do we
Figure
not-
out how to
Wait a
do
minute,
it,
wait
you
a
said
minute,
you
wait a minute,
can.
Wait a minute, stop. I'm gonna stop you, Jeff. I've given you a lot of leeway. Do not, and I repeat, do not talk to an elected official in the tone that you're talking to her. Do not. I wouldn't accept it for me, and I will not accept it for her or anybody else on this board. She is an elected official in this township. Now, can you be here?
I can be here by 9. The rest of this week, anytime next week.
Are you here tomorrow?
No,
When will you be
Monday.
back?
at best Monday.
At
Okay.
best Monday, okay, so you wanna say, you're saying at best Monday, so that tells me that you may not be here Monday.
Tuesday?
Can we
I
set it
will
up?
be here Monday at 7:30.
Okay.
Can you be here at will you be here at 9 o'clock on,
By 9, yep.
I cannot be, I don't know, John, can you be here at 9 o'clock? Or Mike, one of you be here at 9 o'clock?
I have to
Just-
check my
just to-
schedule.
just
Mondays
to-
are usually generally tough after the weekend.
I get it. Or
I
we
can
know we're
be,
doing
I can be
Tuesday.
here at 9:30.
Okay,
That's fine.
can you
with me.
just,
Oh, wait, no, this Monday I can be
Yeah.
here at 9 o'clock.
are we doing 9 o'clock Monday?
If,
Or, okay.
Here's the whole thing, I wanna ask a question. Where are we at on these dates? Because I know I stuck my nose in, that's how people feel, and I called Carrie Ritchie, and I'm positive the date she gave me was 8/2, and I could've swore that you just read a different date.
Okay,
But is
so,
that because we got the extension that the
yes,
date moved?
yes, so you guys have to vote by 8/2 and then I mail it back to Carrie by 8/5.
And do we still have time to get it in the
Yes, we
paper
do.
and things like
As
that?
long as we
Have
get
the
this
10
wrapped
days?
by Monday and get it to the Daily Reporter, yes, we do.
But, you mean
Okay.
done by Monday?
Yep.
Well, he isn't even gonna be here till
Well,
Monday.
that's
No.
what I'm saying, wrap
it's
it up
done
on
by
Monday,
Monday evening.
Oh.
Tuesday, yes.
And would we not want to just,
Get it done,
and
Yes.
not only, no, what I'm gonna get at, don't mail it,
Take
just
it
hand
down.
deliver.
yes.
Yeah, another thing is, I went back and checked, and this is just, take this as a life lesson, please. We can't, when he gives us and he lays things out, and he wanted us to start on this much earlier, this is why, because he's been doing this a long time, and when you're my age, you realize things can go wrong, and that's why we wanna get it done sooner than later, and I'm not saying you did it, but that's why he laid it out, and then you revisited the days and decided we didn't need to do it necessarily when Jeff had laid it out for us, and that we had plenty of time.
I also didn't know that Jeff was gonna go on vacation for 2 weeks in a row, so
That's
that
part
kind
yeah.
of
Yeah,
threw a niche in that too, so.
okay. But we're good?
Yep,
You two-
Monday at 9.
Mike, and you can,
No, I can be here, but I just wanna make sure. I just think you have to decide, do you want to continue to work, or do you, on the budget, or do you not? Jeff,
My preference is no.
okay,
I've said my piece.
okay? So, he'd rather not do the budget? So what do we do?
well,
We already have a resolution for him to help, I'm asking him to finish tidy this up, I don't even know why he asked that question when we
Yeah.
moved on to.
Why I asked the question?
When we moved on to confirming Monday at 9,
No, because I already knew where he was.
cause you've already
But-
had discussions before.
I talk to him all the time, you bet your ass I do.
Right, so we need to get the budget done, Monday at 9, I think is what we were all collectively agreeing here.
He's the person doing the work, you all can agree to whatever you want.
no, there's a signed agreement,
Yes, there is a signed agreement.
engagement letter saying that he would help with this.
I think he signed the agreement and he's been here and fulfilled his part of it.
I know that, Lindsay, I've read in the emails back and forth that he made it very clear, so I don't think you did anything by having conversation, which you're allowed to.
Yeah.
I mean, I clearly picked that up in the emails, he made it very clear.
I think, it's just, we've gotta get past this hump. And I just think that's the best way to get past it. And then you'll need to find other sources of helping you with the
Absolutely.
budget that comes in.
And October, November.
Well, let's start on it in September.
Well, right, I know.
And, can you hang with us on this one more day and be done with it, with the
All right.
budget?
I will.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, I do wanna state for Mr. Wilczek's, due diligence from what I've seen the times and et cetera, and I'm hearing et cetera in the emails, he has, from what I've seen, I don't know on the other side, he's put well effort into wanting to be here and make it, so.
Yeah, I agree that he has done, he is valuable to the township. And, we just need to somehow get the oil and water to combine on this last project, and then he can just stick with the audit stuff.
So I wanna figure out what it was I.
Is that good? Is that what
Where
what
we're
I'm
at?
reading?
Where we're at exactly, so what are we doing on Monday, so we're all on the same page? Jeff, you're gonna be here at 7:30, Lindsay, you're gonna be here at 9,
By 9.
and I'm gonna be here at 9, and we're gonna work on the budget.
Need to go over pages 2 through 5, pages 10 through 16.
So you say go through these pages.
Right.
What do you need him just to check your math?
So you have everything he's given you up, he goes, I understand he is
Yes, I will
giving
come
you.
in with revised stuff on Monday,
Okay.
and he's gonna sit down and go over pages 2 through 5 and 10 through 16. I've asked him several times to sit down with me and go over this page
So
by
you
page, because
just-
I have not done this before.
So you
And I
just
do not
need
know
him
what
to
is so
double-
wrong with
You
this.
just need him to double check what you've
And
corrected.
right, and there may be some things that he's gonna have to, okay, look, we gotta pull, this is whatever, fix or whatever.
But you're here at 9 o'clock, you're here at 7:30.
I'll be
You're gonna
here.
be here to make
Yep.
sure these two.
No, I'm not,
Be
I'm
referee.
gonna be here to just make sure everything goes well, and this way we have a person on site, and we'll see what's going on. And
I
Mr.
swear-
Welchek, thank you for coming in.
Yes,
on
thank
Monday.
you. And I
I
swear I'm gonna
understand.
wear
Thank you,
a
Lindsay, for
referee shirt today.
understanding. I'm worried. I am just worried about this
Mhm.
budget. It is very important, I think, and I've only been
No,
here
this is
7 months,
critical.
that it has to get done, and has to get done in a timely manner. And I went out there and spoke to Carrie Ritchie, and I feel like now I've personally involved myself in it, you know, because I told her, no, we won't walk it back to you on the very last day. And now that the extension has been given, it moved that last day, and that was my
We just
concern.
have up until that.
No,
and
no,
we
and I,
can do
and I
it all.
understand, and I'm glad to hear that, because I just didn't wanna miss the day that I
And you
told the
will
lady.
be, you'll be hand delivering it, correct?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
And Lindsay, I didn't mean no malice or anything in the questions that I asked. The reason that I ask these questions, people here, people at home, are thinking what I'm saying sometimes. We just read off asking for township-wide levy, making clear exactly what it is, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't want people at home to get the impression they can't even do a budget, let alone
Right.
ask us to vote for
Right.
something.
Right.
So when I ask, I'm just trying to ask what I think other people are
I
thinking,
understand.
not me personally, so.
I understand.
Anything else on this subject?
You good, Jeff? So if you need to cut out or whatever you need to do, unless you wanna speak afterwards, we're gonna get into this home rule, and I know it gets long sometimes, so.
I have an issue that I'm still trying to resolve with the bank right now.
Oh, okay,
So,
great,
back to
so
work here.
I will see
Carry
you at
on with
9
that,
o'clock.
that's important.
I'll see you 9 o'clock Monday morning, sir.
Very good.
That was a good call, Mike.
All right, moving forward,
Um,
discussion on limited home rule.
yeah.
Just helping you out, Steve.
I sat in an hour-long seminar with Pete Griggs, who is the principal of the firm that is our law group. And it was based on zoning issues and limited home rule. And I know there's an interest from the trustees that they would like to put it on the November ballot. What I learned in this seminar is there are things that the township can do as opposed to being a limited home rule township. When I was talking to Mr. Graves, we were emailing back and forth. I'm gonna have another conversation with his associate Julie tomorrow morning. For example, let's say, Patty, you have an excavator parked in the front yard of your neighbor's property. In the past, we would rely on the county to come and take care of that issue. My understanding from sitting through this seminar yesterday is the board has the ability to pass a resolution to say, no excavators parked on a residential property. That seems to be one of the issues that we experience the most from the board and the administrator. Another thing is, let's say that somebody builds a fence across an alleyway, somebody builds a garage on an alleyway. The board, and I'm gonna absolutely verify this, the board has the ability to pass a resolution to address, why did you build a garage on our property? Why did you build a fence on, when I say our, the taxpayers, the residents' property? So I just wanted to let the board know that we can still, of course, do home rule on the November ballot. But I am learning now, there are tools that the board can use, the residents can use to address certain issues without going full-blown limited home rule.
We have until
August 7th.
sixth or seventh, to get that on the ballot if we need to. Can you get with Julie and get all these other questions that you have? You said you're gonna meet with her.
Tomorrow morning,
And then give us an update at the next meeting.
Yes, sir.
On whether we need to put it on or not.
she is prepared to do the resolution. But again, once I sat and talked with Pete through this seminar, and then emails back and forth, and then Julie is going to update everything that Pete and I went through. So we may, and again, you know, I know there's an interest in putting it on the ballot, but I just wanna give the board all these facts.
So if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, go ahead, John, I'm sorry.
I apologize, sir.
No, you go ahead.
So one of the things, that would be of big interest to me. I understand that we are finding, I'm gonna call them caveats, that we are experiencing with the junk cars and et cetera. It's been successful in us getting them moved, and the procedure in which we participate in, and not necessarily that of the county, in order to get things taken care of. So with the limited home rule, to me, what the difference between us having a few nuts for a squirrel to collect, with home rule, we would be able to have our own code enforcement person that would be able to handle the, either say start off on a part-time basis with a lot of the things that we have, versus turning it over to the county. Since I've been sitting in this seat, and no offense to the county, but the duration of time that it takes for the county to get something done, and the frustration that I hear from the residents when they say, isn't there something that you can do? And I explain the process in which it's going to take, first by taking the information, second by turning it over to the county, and third, we wait. The biggest difference by being home rule from what I could see and generate is the fact that we would be an agency then that we could act on it, and not that of the county. But yet we can't make new laws or change laws. We can only act upon what Franklin County has as far as the code enforcement. So what that allows us to do is our own shopping versus relying on someone else to go shopping for us. It's more efficient, it's more quicker, and it's direct to the point. So I would love to see the difference of what I laid out. If we did want to go full home rule, as you said, full-blown home rule, those would be the challenges that is the reason I would want home rule.
I think, I think what Mr. Mazur said takes care of some of your
Yes,
concerns.
some of them.
Yeah, that's why I said just if he could report back, but I think Mike had something.
I'm curious about two things. How much does it cost to put home rule on the ballot?
I don't know, Mike. I
There's
don't
a
know.
cost involved, I know that.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So, and then the second
sir.
thing is, we were going to have meetings. I swore back in months ago, we were going to have meetings to decide if this is what the people wanted. And you just said, so we meet again on the 25th. And then I just heard a date of August the 7th or 8th, that it has to be 6. So so are we gonna do meetings? That leaves us a week.
I think
And
he's
thought-
having meetings to discuss zoning and items like that.
I thought we
That
were,
was mine.
I thought we were gonna have meetings that we went around to different
spots.
fire
And
departments
find out
and
what they were
churches and
wanting.
things. Because I'm telling you, I've said it all along, I need to hear from the people. If they want home rule, because the people that I hear from don't necessarily want home rule, I'm happy to put it on, and let the people decide, because ultimately they're going to decide.
Absolutely.
But why waste a couple $1,000s of
Absolutely.
taxpayers' money putting this on, if it seems like Steve is bringing us a possible different alternative here?
Well, that's why I said we'll wait till the 25th, but this would be the year, if we were gonna put it on to save the township money, this would be the year to put it on because of the federal election.
Okay. Well, like I said, I just wanted to say that I thought we were gonna have, so.
My understanding of the meetings that we were gonna have, Mike, at different places throughout the township, was to discuss the concerns of what the zoning laws were going to be.
I thought, I concur with Mike, I thought that because I as well, I know the frustration when I get the calls, which makes me as a resident frustrated that I can't get certain things done in a timely fashion, that we have to go through all these hoops. If we eliminate the hoops and we're home rule, then we can, a resident can hold me accountable going, I called you 6 months ago and you guys have your own ability. But I would love to know if there are residents that are not for it and hear why, because before I put it on, obviously, me putting it on isn't gonna make it happen. But I would definitely love to hear how it wouldn't be a benefit. It may be something I never looked at.
And that's why we have the meeting.
Absolutely.
And then if you're right, then everybody that shows up at that meeting will all say that they want it, and that'll make the decision very easy to decide
sure.
that we did the right thing. And then ultimately in November, we're gonna find out if it was the
Absolutely.
right decision or not.
Absolutely.
But to spend taxpayers' money if we haven't even had our meetings.
Correct.
And I remember it even being said that we were gonna do some meetings in the evening, so I'm sure that.
Oh, we still got time.
Okay.
Why don't we, Mr. Mazer and Chairman, if we can, it's a little short notice, but let's do it the due diligent and try to get a few meetings and let's hear what the public has to say. And by that time, Mr. Mazer, if you have any additional information from our legal department as far as pros and cons, a lot of what the
Can I
board
make
is
a
gonna do is
suggestion?
listen, because we're not gonna know as much as you're gonna know, but it's gonna be great to listen to hear the pros and cons on both ways.
Can I make a quick suggestion that we
Sure, sir.
just try this? We have 1 week till our next meeting. How about we put out as much information as we can and invite people to come to the next meeting and put it on the agenda and say, please, feel free to come to the podium, and
Question.
we don't limit them to 3 minutes. You know what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say, and just give them an opportunity to give them, if no one shows up, that tells us a little bit. I understand it'll be a small testing because it's only 1
Absolutely,
week.
I'm good.
But we don't have but 2 weeks. If you stop and look at
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
look at that calendar, we have 2 weeks. So if we do something,
I
at
agree.
least something.
I agree.
You know, listen, people wanna come up and say, I like home rule, I don't like home rule, I want this done, but I don't want home rule. You know, there's many things, this is working, analogies that the wheels turning and,
Yeah.
you know, and if you fart,
Yeah,
it's
as
just
a
like.
trustee, I just wanna be able to sit and be a fly on the wall and take it in and listen to the public of what they like or dislike. I don't wanna try to sell it. I know for myself, I like it because of the interactions that I have and I'm not like a normal resident, because I fought that wall in trying to get things done, and I see the frustration. And if I could just move that out of the way and us do it, how many times have we all done that, where just set it down, I'll get it, and it's easier for me to do it myself.
It's
You know,
just a
and that's
suggestion.
where I'm frustrated at.
And a lot of people, I think, are confused on what.
Absolutely.
actually is.
Oh, there's a lot of, there's a lot of confusion out
So,
there.
I think, Mr. Blevins, what we need to do, in the notice that goes out, in the emails, I think we have an email bank, we need to basically have a little something. Home rule is X, Y, and Z,
There's a nice little,
and what we currently do is X, Y, and Z. What would you like? This is a show and tell, please come and give
This is
your
what
opinion.
comes to my mind. I call him Bob the chicken guy, remember the man that came up and
Yes.
took care of his chicken?
Yes.
Bob? Sam Youngman, my neighbor, I can definitely contact both those men and say, how about coming next week and
Yeah.
give us your opinion?
Absolutely.
So, and if you guys Don, I know you've taken many calls, you have to have a Rolodex
Oh,
of people
yeah.
that you can reach out to.
Yes.
Sit down, and call 2 people a night for the next week
Yeah.
and, let's get a sample of people in here.
Yes, and I plan to do that. I plan to, and what date are we gonna, do we wanna set this date now?
we're gonna do it next
I
month.
thought we would just do it at the next week's
Okay.
meeting. And then if you wanna do a second one and you wanna do it in the evening,
So,
it would have to be.
can we do that meeting in the evening on that one, so that people that may be working?
Well, why don't we do it at the regular time on the 25th, and then do a, meeting in the evening on the 30th.
Well, I wanna be able to hear from the people.
We can always vote on it on the 30th.
I understand, but if we're gonna listen to people, and we want people to come in and give us opinion,
So
on
then
that,
you
why
wanna
would
do
we
it
not-
We have two.
Tuesday, a Thursday, we're gonna do the
Thursday.
25th, Thursday at noon, and then turn around and do a Tuesday night on the 30th.
Yeah,
You wanna do it up to the firehouse on Sullivan Avenue to give a different location?
Yeah.
I mean, cause that's what we had spoke about.
okay,
where's Bob at?
He just disappeared.
okay.
So why did you want it? I mean, that gives
That works.
that covers both
yeah,
things.
And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to
Yeah.
think of the people that, if I can, give options to people that I know, like you said, you got a Rolodex of a lot of people that have, contacted and things that I've worked with people. Absolutely, I can, contact them and say, this is something that's gonna go on the ballot, potentially, but we would like to hear from you, whether you would like it or not like it, what would be your concerns, or how does it work? That's gonna be the biggest question is, how does this work, and how does it work for me? If I'm a resident, I wanna know how it works for me.
And by
Does it
then,
make my tax go up? No, it does not.
by then, Mr. Mazur will have time to get with Julie and
Right.
get some of the other questions ironed out.
So you can present to that to us, your information on the 25th, and then when we go in on the 30th, we can also share that information
Again,
on the 30th
yeah.
with, so are we setting a time and a date right now on the 30th?
I would say the 30th at 6:30 at the firehouse, as long as that's okay with
So,
Bob.
July what, 30th?
Yeah, we just gotta get Bob, I guess, to
He was just here.
clear it.
At 5:30, you said?
6:30.
6:30. And that's at Sullivan, right?
Yeah,
Would you say Tuesday the 30th?
Okay, and then of course, our next meeting is the Thursday,
the 25th.
the 25th. Okay,
Can we agree to, put it at the very beginning of the meeting so people don't
Yeah.
have to stay for
Sure.
the whole entire thing?
Sure.
Could we
Yeah,
get,
can we do
could
that?
that just be the?
Just put that under old
Right
business
after
at the top.
prayers or flag and everything. I think, we can just let them know, look, you don't have to stay for the entire meeting, we can just get you in and out. Your chance to, have your
Oh, I
say.
know.
I mean, we are recording this, you guys cannot be speaking out there. It comes up on the audio.
That's fine.
so the other thing, Mr. Mazur, too, I believe in my reading of this too, just for the public knows, if people are not happy with home rule, they can get it back, they can levy to get it back on the levy and actually get it
Get
reduced.
back on the ballot.
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
you're right, you're right.
And you're 100% sure on that?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Because I've heard otherwise.
There's a
But there's no
referendum.
RC that says that they have the right to be able to do that, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
Is that all you have? For this portion of the meeting?
I think so.
Okay. Moving on to the, I'll make a motion that we move into executive session, to discuss the appointment, discipline, complaints, gains to a public employee as directed in the ORC 121.22.g.I. Also, for the consideration of purchasing of a property for public purpose, if premature disclosure of information gives an unfair competitive advantage to a person advised to the general public's interest per Ohio Revised Code 121.22.g.2. Also, review matters to be kept confidential by state statute per the Ohio Revised Code 121.22.g.5. And I would ask for a second.
I would second that, sir.
Give us a roll call vote, ma'am.
Jim,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Meeting's, going into executive session at
We need to-
10:55.
You just need the trustees